Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe we are all connected in this world, and we value the worth and dignity of each person. We pull on the wisdom of many sources to teach us, guide us, and help us understand this world. We welcome all, young and old, regardless of ethnicity, sexual orientation, religious background, or physical ability. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived here, we welcome you. I did forget to introduce myself for those who don't know me. My name is Ronnie Craven. I serve on the worship team, the Little Pantry team. I sing in various groups, and I am your celebrant for today. Good morning. I don't know that we have any special announcements other than what's in the bulletin.
The water ceremony.
Oh, yes, is it on the screen? Next Sunday is our water ceremony, so it's a reminder to bring a special container of special water. Anything that's important to you, and we will join it all together and have our water ceremony that day. Every Sunday we do a land acknowledgement, and one of the slides I've used in the past is a beautiful photograph of what is commonly known as Saddle Rock with a rainbow over it. When Mary Bigbo Lewis opened Wenatchee Ware, she opened us to a world of information that we had not had before, and the native name for Saddle Rock is Two Bears, and there are stories about the two bears fighting. When I drive west and see that, I do not see a saddle anymore. I see the mouth of the two bears facing each other. And as many landmarks in our state have been changed to their original native name or to a less horrible name, I've often thought, wouldn't it be great if we saw that as two bears? I want you to think about that as you drive west and see, or at any point and you're looking at Saddle Rock. Because our fellowship is located on the ancestral homeland of the Pasquosa. And for thousands of years, the Pasquosa have been stewards of this land, fishing, hunting, harvesting plants for food and medicine, and practicing cultural traditions. And the Pasquosa still live here. We acknowledge that their land has been taken over because the U.S. government broke treaty obligations and allowed uninvited white colonists to settle here. We stand alongside our indigenous neighbors as they continue their traditions and seek to have all their rights recognized. We acknowledge our shared responsibility to sustain right relationships with each other and the land. And if you want more information on this subject, go to our website, cascadeuu.org, and under the Welcome tab, you will find more information. And now if you'll rise in body or spirit, we'll sing our congregational song, number 134.
I call you to worship with these words from Reverend Linda Hart. But you can go ahead and be seated. Every day is a new start. Every year a beginning, or so we like to believe. We never know, cannot anticipate where we will go, what will happen, what delights await, what heartbreaks might tear us open. We cannot know the unexpected paths that are opening at this moment before us. But aware of that, we can lean our lives in particular ways, focus on particular moments, incline our attention to what is in our hearts and lives, and in seeking what our hands and minds have to offer. By living, discovering. We here know for sure that our way is in the going, in finding what is on the path and off it, and giving and creating what we can. So we come here amidst the discoveries and the delights of everyday life, the worries and the woes that hover around us, to find a moment of connection, to pause on the great journey of gratitude and grief. Every day is a new start, and because of that, it is good to be together. Amen.
In Unitarian Universalist congregations all over, we have a chalice lighting that joins us together. I will read the first section, and then we will say the second section in unison, and the words should be on your screen. Joy and grief, peace and anger, health and sickness, light and darkness, life and death. In wholeness and brokenness, we bring the diversity of life to this hour. Please join me in these chalice lighting words. Come to the sanctity of unity for this 1 hour of this one day, and pour it out, commingling the oil of our lives to fuel the flame of this chalice. Unity and diversity, this is a symbol of our shared and living faith. Thank you. I found this wisdom reading by Julia Hamilton. I failed to go further and read more about her. I love the UUA website with so many words of wisdom. Spirit of life, we need each other. We need one another to sit together in the dark when the electricity is out and the wind is howling. We need one another to wade through the water with nothing but an old canoe and the will to save as many lives as possible. We need one another to tear down our moldy, rotten walls and begin to build up new ones in the house that our grandfather built. We need one another when the sky clears, and yet we are still so filled with stories that if we don't tell them to someone else, we might hurt ourselves. We need one another to make us laugh on the first good day in a long while. And we need one another so that when our own little spring of hope dries up, there is a community well from which to drink that will keep us going until the thirst is over, the worst is past, and we're able to survive even when the rains come again.
Well, we have people of all ages, from the very, very young to a little bit older. And all of us can enjoy this story. We all are welcome. It's written by Alexandra Penfold and illustrated by Suzanne Kaufman. And now for those who might go off to classes or just go off to get an early cup of coffee, let's sing our traditional song, Singing People on Their Way. Go now together to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share. Go with each other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share. Now is a time for honoring, a time for remembering and reflecting, and for connecting to events of significance in one another's lives. It's not a time for announcements or advertisements. It's a time to share from our hearts, as briefly as we can, something that has happened in our lives or that we wish to remember and honor. This is Memorial Day weekend, and as always,
Labor Day.
oh, this is. Silence, words. So, can you answer a question? I won't have you say it out loud, I'll just ask you. Is, and you can answer yes or no or maybe, is Unitarian Universalism a religion? I have long argued that the standard answer to that question, or to any really religious question, is it depends, right? Beyond yes or no, one must ask, what do you mean by religion or a religion? When talking about the definition of the term a religion, I like to note that when the British East India Company established itself on the Indian subcontinent and would grow slowly into the British Raj ruling over all those people, there was no such thing as Hinduism. The various practices and beliefs in what is now called India were quite diverse. The word Hindu generally originates from the people of the Indus River Valley. It was a Sindhu, and it was mispronounced as Hindu. The various practices, the various beliefs had flowed in, at least, well, throughout the Indian subcontinent for over 2,000 years at that point, 4,000 years. Some of the scriptural references and practices going back very, very far. But they didn't call themselves Hindu. And they didn't really see it as a single thing. It was all very cultural. It was all about people in different villages. In one village, you might be celebrating Durga, the great goddess riding on her white tiger. And then the next one, you might be celebrating Kali, the black goddess, right? They were all different. There's variations. And some would draw more on one teacher than another, and there were various teachers. The concept of religion in general and a religion in specific just wasn't really active in India. The word Hindu was first used by Muslims in the north to distinguish all the locals of various languages and cultural identities as not Muslim. It was the Muslims who had the one true religion, and then all those Hindus. The British began using the word Hindu in the 1800s to lump together all the religious ideas and cultures of the native people. Finally, it was in the 20th century when it became a rallying idea for those who wanted India to form into one single nation liberated from British rule, external rule, that the word Hindu began to be applied to a religion, gave people identity, gave people a tradition and a heritage going back thousands of years, and on that they could stand together and fight a war and separate themselves from the British and then from Pakistan. The point of all this is to say that religion is a contested concept. It has no single, clear, absolute definition. The definition has actually been changed. If you look at Merriam-Webster's dictionary over the last 100 years, the meaning of the word originally had to do with beliefs and practices related to God or gods. And now it says, Merriam-Webster's changed the definition to a personal set of institutionalized or institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices. I tend to use the word spirituality to talk about individual practices, individual beliefs that guide us and inspire us, or things that when just seeking meaning and truth and vitality in our individual lives. I tend to use spirituality. And then I use religion to talk about the way in which we share that with other people, the way we find congruence. And the whole idea of Unitarians and Universalists, those words came from Christians who were dissenting from the so-called unifying doctrines that were coming up. Those unifying doctrines didn't quite seem unifying, especially for the Universalists who were just trying to imagine all the millions of people or thousands of people who would burn forever in hell. But also just those who said, I affirm my allegiance to Jesus. I am a devoted follower of Jesus, but I don't follow these particular doctrines about him. Right? Back in 1900, in America, there was a whole bunch of norms and assumptions about religion. especially about Christianity. It seemed as though religion in this country was almost ossified. 50 years ago, the definitions were clear and consistent. But always things are changing. Always the new ideas from the 1800s are bubbling up through the culture and causing people science. Unitarian Universalists like science. We affirm the discipline, the process of seeking literal and physical truths through the scientific method. It's a process of community. And we use the same sort of process in all our ideas. Testing, looking at saying, what are you talking about exactly? And what evidence do you have for this? And how does that compare to what I have? Trying to seek the truth, always seeking the truth. And that changed everyone's experience. Recently, there's an organization called the Pew Research Center. It's been tracing trends. Pew's origins are in a research project that started in 1990. It's a year before I was ordained. It was by the Times Mirror Company to conduct regular polls on politics and major policy issues modeled on a neutral, independent, just the facts approach. In 1993, Andrew Kohut, who you might have known from NPR at that time, his work there, became the director of this Pew Research Center. In 2007, Pew did its first comprehensive religious landscape study, and they determined that 78% of all Americans identified as Christian of some sort or another. A sense of the roots of the unity and clarity and certainty and confidence. Another religious landscape survey came out in 2014. The first one was 2007, second one is 2014, and the latest was completed in 24. And altogether, they show tectonic shifts in American religious culture. For example, the study, fielded over 7 months in 2023 to 24, found that 62% of U.S. adults identified as Christians. Remember, before it was in 2007, it was 78. So it dropped to 62. That's a decline, a significant decline, a 16-point drop. And there were many people who began to say, finally, the atheists especially, said, finally, it's all going away. We're going to get rid of this source of irritation. Others were deeply concerned that the evils that they saw, the changes that they saw, the cultural changes that they saw were coming from an erosion of the very foundation of all goodness and love and justice in this country. It was fear that rose up. Recently, the next survey that came out, or the most recent survey when it came out, actually shows a leveling off. We thought, the first one in 2014, it's like going like this, and then all of a sudden there's this leveling off. And of course, the deeply religious people immediately started saying, it's a revival. And they began to look to Generation Z as the source of new Christians who had come in and the rising of Christianity again to establish the foundation of goodness in this country. Right? Others have said, well, I don't know if there's really a revival going out as sort of slowing of the decline. Right? So we're all in this middle of change. And as I was reading all this, and I've been thinking about these sorts of things, I keep saying, well, what does this mean for Unitarian Universalism? What does it mean if you are a Unitarian Universalist? You love the identity, you love the community, you resonate, and you see the deep, ancient roots of our values and our commitments and even of our traditions. What does it mean to us? How should we respond? Is it an opportunity? And I like to always look for the opportunities and the possibilities of newness. I'll talk again later about what the survey has implied about Unitarian Universalists, or actually revealed in terms of statistics about Unitarian Universalists. But when I talk about religion, I've long held that there are 4 doors into religion, 4 ways in which you come into the realm of meaning that you share with other people. And the first of those in terms of Christianity is beliefs. Other religions don't put beliefs, doctrines, as important or very important at all, but other cultures and attitudes, and even within Christianity, there are people for whom going to Mass is a much bigger deal than having the faintest idea what any theologian said about the Bible, right? So belief, but for most Christians, the belief's important. And then there's a vision, a sense of vision or that drives our purpose, why we're living. And then the third are practices. What are the things that you do that reveal your sense of what is meaningful and true with other people? And then finally, the sense of community. Who do you identify with? Who do you connect with? Who cares for you? And I'm going to kind of go through those four. In terms of beliefs, of course, we have no doctrinal beliefs. We do have beliefs like every single human being has inherent worth and dignity. Dignity is your right to be included in society and treated as a human being in society, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done. To have that inherent level, that's a belief. Now, it's not a doctrinal belief. There are some of us who I have met, Unitarian Universalists, who rejected it utterly. Said, I have met complete evil people who have hurt my life and hurt my family, and I will not claim that they have any inherent worth anymore at all. Right? So we can vary about that sort of idea. What does that mean? Inherent. Maybe it's not inherent to everyone, or maybe it's only inherent through our commitment to justice, which is in the equal treatment under the law, which has been questioned by the current federal government now. So that we have these ideas, we have these values, but we don't really have beliefs. And the reason we don't have beliefs is, as the Tao Te Ching said, the way that can be told is not the eternal way. The name that can be spoken is not the eternal name. We understand this, that there are thousands of ways of talking about what is eternal and what is true. Billions of ways, right? And so, as a religious community, we're open to all sorts of beliefs. And then but more importantly, we listen to one another's beliefs. We seek, where did that belief come from? Why do you hold that idea? What does that mean to you? That practice about belief is very powerful, distinctive, and needed in this world. And more, I hope that we will not only practice it within our community, but show to others how they can listen to people who are different than them and not shut them down and not make assumptions, but seek shared beliefs, universal truths. What is universally true, and how would we know what that is? And our statements, and when knowing that our statements about it, our commitments will shift over time, shift as we experience new things. I remember when it was incredible when I was at the General Assembly and National Unitarian Universalist General Assembly, and the Supreme Court, we had been working on gay rights. It was a key thing, is to treat gay people as people and as worthy of everything that any other human being would get, right? We were struggling to build that up in our own internal resistance to that idea, and growing, and we're starting to push for marriage equity. And then the Supreme Court said, yeah, gay people can get married too. It's good for them. We'll go ahead. The law is not against it. But there were a lot of people who heard that as a death knell of justice and morality, and they still are fighting. They're fighting to deny the goodness of people who are different, who don't fit easily in their categories. We must stand strong with all those who are willing to listen for human dignity and goodness, universal. So that's beliefs. And our ability to respond to the diversity of beliefs in the world and show people how to live together with the differences of belief, things that you practicing. I noticed several of us are engaging with Braver Angels, which is an organization that teaches people how to disagree kindly, thoughtfully, helpfully. And then you have vision and purpose. It usually rises out of your beliefs. But so what are you trying to find in life? Are you just trying to be a happy human being who lives pretty healthily, and is that your goal? You want to live with other human beings? Or is it that you see the role of delusion and fear and hatred in human lives, and you've listened to Buddhist teachers, and you want people to, and you've heard of the image of Buddha, the enlightened one, and you start thinking, I want to be enlightened too. I want to be freed from the suffering that everyone is feeling. I want to be free from suffering. That's a possible belief. It's also a vision of a world where people can be liberated, where more and more people will be living with less suffering. Now maybe what resonates with you more is Jesus' evocation of the kingdom of God, of the eternal kingdom, of the afterlife, where you can be with the blessed souls that have all achieved harmony with God. Maybe that resonates with you more. But you have a vision, and you need to start working towards that vision, sharing your vision with other people, finding how it resonates with others, coming together. What is your purpose? How does your personal vision of spirituality help you work for justice, create peace, make love not just a vague ideal that's flowing through the universe, but that's concrete, making love concrete? It's always been one of my key visions, peace at the deepest sense, which is harmony, even in conflict, harmony and wholeness. So that's a religious vision that comes up. So first you have your beliefs, then you have your vision that gives you purpose. What am I trying to achieve with my life? Why am I enjoying life? Is just enjoyment of life enough? Service is purpose, serving others. I know people whose entire lives have been giving to try to feed the hungry, or to medical people who are just trying to help everyone live as best as they can with illness. And it's their entire life's purpose. You can see it just religiously filling their life with meaning. I am struggling to bring better life, better health, better full, powerful healing to others. Service is another sense of vision. And then the vision turns into practices. What are the things that I'm doing? What helps me? Professionals have professional guidelines. Sometimes those professional guidelines are not just guidelines, but they're how can I fulfill my purpose better in a way that I'm not going to get into trouble, but more importantly, I'm going to be able to manage the difficulties, the complexities, the confusion that comes up when we're working together. So there are practices. Meditation is really important to me. I love meditating with the people over in Stone Blossom Sangha. I love meditating in the woods on the top of a mountain. I love meditating with you. Brief moments of silence where I'm just paying attention to what's going on and then waking up to that. But for other people that doesn't resonate. It's too passive. I've known people who just can't meditate. They tell me, I can't do that. But when they do there's something, playing music maybe, that opens their soul to the sense of harmony, that opens their mind to doing better, going further down their purpose in life. Right? So there's all sorts of practices. Drumming circles. I knew someone for whom that was the most religious activity they could do. They were listening for that moment of entrainment when all these drumming sounds and all these beating hands and voices suddenly started to sync together. It was a deeply religious moment for them, and they were always practicing. That person was always looking for chances to go to drumming circles because it was a religious experience for them that taught them about community and connection and the rhythms of the world and life. And Unitarian Universalism doesn't give people just one practice. Though we do have this practice of worship and attending worship on Sunday mornings. We're still doing that. There's some UU congregations that have worship on Saturday afternoons or, Sunday afternoons or some other times. They'll have it throughout the week. Different kinds of worship. But gathering together, sharing words and music that remind us of what is holy and what we share with one another is a significant spiritual practice. And we invite people that say, there's kind of older connotations about inviting someone to a worship service. You can just talk about, first find out what it is that person's looking for in their life. And then say, hey, you might be able to find that on Sunday morning. It's one of our great religious practices. Spiritual practices. Where we find community and open to the mystery. And then that's the fourth door into religion is community. Identity. The people who you are one with. The people who, when a certain word is spoken, like Islam, you know that it connects you to millions of other human beings. That sense of community, but it also connects you to specific people who actually know you and care about you. We talk about this often in this congregation, that you will be known and you will be cared for by people, individual people in this congregation. And over, people are surprised at that sense of connection. This American culture right now is incredibly divided and has been radically individualized. And so we're all alone on our following our individual paths. And to create community, which is a deep hunger for every single human being to know that we are connected, doesn't come easily. And in a world that is as divided, in a country and even a county that's as divided politically and socially as this one is, and there are people who are promoting an exclusive vision of the world that does not say, and those are our citizens, fellow citizens too, but it's an exclusive, fear-filled, anger-filled attitude. Our desire to create not only this community, which is broad and inclusive, but other communities. Connect with other people, a bigger circle of universal and unitary truth. I remember a guy who came in to one of the first congregations I served, and he came in wearing this long, ankle-length black jacket. He was intentionally, and he had tattoos and his hair was back, and he was really trying to goad people. He did bring a Bible, though, because he knew it was a church. And he didn't realize that also was not the thing that was going to bring him into connection with other people. He was truly a different human being in all sorts of cultural ways. He was a gay man, truly fell in love romantically with other men, and he found no place in the world that was welcoming. And then that was what he had heard, that we would welcome him. And so he came in thinking, oh yeah, they'll say they welcome us. They welcome me, but I'm not going to get it. And he found out that he got it there. And he actually, his whole life, he had wanted to be a teacher. And so he started his educational degree at the university. He became a teacher. He started to blossom in the art and the music that came into his life and that he could share with others. And he said, this congregation saved me. Without this, I probably would have killed myself. I probably would have just died in alcoholism or misery or some violent struggle. And instead, I'm a teacher. I'm giving to other lives. I'm nurturing. I'm growing. I'm blossoming in every way. I just love that experience, that moment where he said, I've been saved. Now I want to go back to the Pew Research Center's Religious Landscape Survey. The people who identify as Christians include 23% of all Americans are evangelical Protestants. 19% are Catholics, 11 are mainline Protestants. This is the most recent survey in 24. Historically black Protestants are about 5% of Christians, of all people. 2% Later Day Saints, the Mormons. 1% are the Orthodox Christians. 1% is other Christian. And then Jehovah's Witnesses are less than 1%. 62% today are willing to say, I am Christian. It's a sense of connection, a sense of what kind of community they want to be a part of. Now, first of all, I want to point out that there is a whole 29%, compared to the 62% that say they're Christian, 29% do not affiliate with any religion at all. And I have always seen that as a mission field, right? There's all sorts of people, for one reason or another, they're not identified with any religion, but they would love to know that this community was here and to become a part of it. They don't hear, they're not invited in, they don't know what it's about. Or they hear it as some kind of satanic cult, right? Those who claim no identity made only 16% in 2007. So that number has grown significantly to 29. These people include atheists, 5%, agnostic, 6% of all Americans, and then there's the mighty 19% who choose their religious identity as nothing in particular. I want to get those people. I want to tell those people, you need to be connecting with others. You need to find what is true and powerful and good, what gives meaning to your life, what connects you to other human beings, what gives you a sense of community. To know the power and the beauty and the goodness of that. Now I should point out that 1% of Americans are Muslim, 2.4% are Jewish. There is 1% that are Hindu. There was 1% that are part of the New Age religions, which are pagans, Wiccans, Druids, Satanists, and others. And it's only about 1% who exclusively identify with Native American religions. But here's the big deal. 1.1% of all Americans identify with the category of Unitarians and other liberal faiths. This includes all U.S. adults who describe themselves as Unitarian, Universalists, or spiritual but not religious, deists and humanists. That group was only 0.7% of the total population in 2007, and it has now grown to 1.1. Massive increase. The question is, while others are finding the divisive qualities of religion in this country, or the limiting qualities of religion in this country, trapping themselves, are there many who will find our way of being religious and come to us and not only help us build our building, but build a bigger one? Congregations, UU congregations, are offering what our fractured culture cannot: genuine community, shared purpose, spiritual practice that connect us to something larger than ourselves and help us sort through and process our beliefs about the universe, supernatural qualities or not. This isn't just about doctrine, it's about belonging and finding a place where vulnerability and growth are welcomed and human connection is cultivated intentionally in the midst of that growth. To think about how to strengthen this congregation, how to continue the practice of Unitarian Universalism, and try to spread it, I'm going to invite Ronnie forward to talk to you about that.
Every week we hear that the offering is a spiritual practice. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking of the other kinds of offerings we have besides monetary: beautiful music, art on the walls, food prepared for us for after the service, our care team that will answer the call for help and support So I want to honor that too right now. We have to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. We will now receive the offering. We are blessed by your generosity, and may your gifts make a difference in our communities through the ministries of this church. And now we will sing our closing song, number 318.
And the blessings of unity and the vision of a world made fair and one with all her people safe and loved go with us from this gathering into gathering with others throughout the week to come. So may it be. Amen.
And now please join me for the chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and embody in our lives until we are together again. And now it's our practice to gather in a circle and join hands. If you don't feel comfortable, you can put your hand on the shoulder of the next person and we'll sing our song.